Good evening. This is the meeting of the Gilroy Unified School District Board of Education. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance by Brownell Middle School and Principal David Labrant.
Thank you. Tonight we have leading us in the pledge Darius Rutman, who's one of our CJSF students. Please stand.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Do you want me to come? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening. This is always a very special occasion where we recognize some exceptional students from our district. We're very proud of all the students we're going to recognize this evening who have made quite an accomplishment as it relates to our state testing. So tonight we're recognizing Brownell students who have received the highest possible score on the CASP. The CASP is the state's assessment, and CASP stands for California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Test. And tonight we're going to recognize students, 35 students. I thought it was more.
Some of ours went on the high school.
Oh, went with high school. It actually was 42. Brownell students that received the highest possible score, but some of them were recognized with the Gilroy High as ninth graders. So tonight we're recognizing 35 students who scored the highest possible score on this test. And some of you will recall the days of the CST test. Those were paper and pencil, multiple choice questions. Now we're in a whole new world. If you saw the tests that they're taking, they're very difficult. Many of us would struggle with probably the 8th grade test. But it's all on the computer and requires students to use much higher order thinking, critical thinking skills, and do a lot of problem solving and analysis. So they're very difficult tests. This year we had 85 students district-wide receive the highest possible score in English language arts, and 54 in the area of math. And then we had 28 students who received the highest possible score in both ELA and math. And 8 of those students are from Brownell, which is quite an accomplishment. So we're very proud of the students this evening for this accomplishment. And I want to recognize all the parents in the room and the teachers, because students don't perform at this high level without an incredible support system. So we thank you all for your support and your guidance with these students. Obviously, they have a lot of innate ability too, and they work hard, but thank you all for your support of them. So it's my understanding Mike Nebesnik, the assistant principal, first we're going to do one Solar Sano student from our prior recognition. So I'd like to ask that student to come forward. And do we have Maria is still here? Maria Walker, the principal, will read her name.
Catherine, why don't you come on up?
You stand right there.
Catherine is being recognized for achieving the top score in mathematics. So congratulations, honey.
Are the parents here? Do you want to take
right there.
Where are the parents?
Okay.
Okay, me first. You ready?
Well, I was going to get in the picture. I worked hard too.
Yeah,
everyone else in the room.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, your turn.
Yeah, I'm going to get in here too. So.
Brownell parents, you can't do that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, so now I'm going to ask Mike Nemesnik, the assistant principal, at Brownell to come up and read off the names. Mr. Laboranti wants to help us shake hands.
We are very proud of all of our students at Brownell, and especially proud tonight to present 35 of our students with perfect score on the CASP. They did an awesome job.
Okay. Yeah. We will start with perfect score in English language arts. Alexandra Bayret. Samuel Bloyer. ELA, English language arts.
We're available Monday.
Jackson Burge. Gabriel Heredia. Tyler Hodges. Jasmine Mead. Zaya Motley Homich. Leanne Panfil. Penelope Perez. Mia Romo. Ari Rutman. Nicholas Singleton. Elizabeth Van Sambeek. And Paige Zakowski. The next students will be perfect scores in mathematics. Aubrey Archuleta. Trinidad Coleman. Martine Fu. Kaito Goto. Madison Krudowski. Eric Palmer. Nicholas Ragasa.
You ready?
Rafael Romo. Evan Vernon. And Dominic Vu. These next exceptional students scored perfectly in both English language arts and mathematics. Christiana Alexa Claire Axon. Sarah Arcelo. Kiara Buisu. Elena Finucane. Joshua Jang. Michael Jimenez III. Madison Pearson. And Samantha Tran. And picture time is being arranged as we speak.
Yeah, I think she'll go up and see Sarita. She doesn't know she. They'll tell her. Yeah, they'll usually do after she. Yeah, after she gets done. That's getting better. Get in the picture.
Family, I'm going to take pictures first, and then I'm going to move out of the way. All of you guys can take pictures, all right? But I'm going to have to back up because there's a lot of you smart people up here.
Everyone got their pictures upside down? Certificates upside down? Good.
Okay,
Show that you're
me,
talented.
my camera, me. I'm going to take pictures of this camera, and I'm going to take everybody home. Don't look at your moms and dads, look at me. All right. All right, my friends. Smile. 1, 2. Walk. Put your phone down. 1, 2, 3. I know who I'm talking to. Okay, hold. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right, be nice to you guys.
We'll stand until you do it.
Bye-bye.
Who needs rabbit ears?
You just have to read the names.
Okay, you guys are going to let them take pictures, all right?
I took so many pictures. Why do you take so much with them so blurry?
You're still taking pictures. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, about 5 more seconds. We're going. Take your pictures. We're going.
Looks like Lucy to me.
All right. Great job.
Yes.
It's good to have a quality too. An abundance of
This is great. This is great. Are you making light comments?
No.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks. Otherwise, I'll shine you with my hand.
Hi, how are you? Oh my God, no. This is that was great. Can you hold?
Thank you, thank you. Could we move pictures to the lobby, please? I'm trying.
Against the light. Scoot over right here. There's a mouse rest.
Thank you all for coming, and we will start with our regular meeting. Thank you very much. Let's do approval. Yeah, and then we'll go. Could we move the pictures out to the lobby, please? Thank you so much. This is my last meeting this term as board president, and we are moving on.
Last chance.
Okay. Okay, we have, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Our agenda is approved, and we have one more very special recognition. Can we close those doors?
If we can get the doors closed, I'm going to go ahead and move on to a teacher recognition this evening. I'm very excited about this recognition. As you know, every year the Santa Clara County Office of Ed organizes an event in honor of the Teachers of the Year. So every district and the county office have a teacher that they've selected to receive this award. And we're very pleased this year to recognize the recipient of the Gilroy Unified Teacher of the Year, and that is Rachel Carnaggia. I'd like to ask her to come up. Well, I'm going to say a few things about her. So Rachel was recognized by the county office at an event. We recently attended that event. Everybody raise your hand that attended the event. We're way behind, so I'm not going to call out names. But we had staff, we had board members, we had family members, most of whom are here tonight. But this event, we learned at the event this year, this is the 49th year of that event. So next year will be the 50th year of the event. And it's probably the most prestigious teacher recognition event in the county. So it's quite a distinction to be selected. And it's designed to bring public awareness to the efforts and contributions of teachers and their role in helping our students succeed in the world. And Rachel certainly embodies all the qualities of a Santa Clara County star teacher. She was, I already told you about who was there. She graduated from San Jose State University, and she joined our district in August 2006. And she's been at South Valley the entire time. Isn't that amazing to be at one school this whole time? And she's taught sixth grade core from 2006 to 2015. And then she moved into, this is the weird part of this story, or a great part of this story, depending. I talked with her parents at the event. But when her mom retired, she moved into her mom's classroom. So she's teaching in her mom's classroom since 2015. And the other really odd thing about this is, guess what? Her mom was Teacher of the Year. So we have two Teachers of the Year from the same family and in the same classroom. So Rachel models a tremendous work ethic. She's trustworthy. She has the respect of the students, parents, and colleagues. And she's an amazing teacher. Every time I'm in her classroom, I don't want to leave, seriously. She starts describing what the students are going to do or have been doing, and I just want to stay. She's that kind of teacher. Students are always engaged in her classroom. She never has classroom management problems. She has everything in order, in place, and knows exactly what she wants to accomplish on a daily basis. And for that reason, she's now the department chair with a lot of new math teachers, and she's providing a lot of leadership to those new math teachers. So we are really proud of you, Rachel. We're really excited that you've been able to obtain this kind of recognition. It was long overdue because you've done a great job. So we have our own little thing we created. What do you call this? Trophy. But it says GUSD Excellence Award, Rachel Carnaggia, 2018 Santa Clara County Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. I don't know if Patricia and the family want to come up. We'll take a quick picture of you. I know one of your. I see one of your children. Yeah. Is your son going to come out, or is he taking pictures?
Yeah. There's my husband.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come up.
You're not coming up? Oh.
Hey.
Yeah.
They're going to.
They'll take
Is he filming? Come on.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. It's not right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Next on the agenda is general public comment, of which we have none, so we will go to item 4A, Student Board Representatives Report. Sarah Starks, Christopher High School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Starks, and I'm a senior at Christopher High School. And my presentation was on my school, Christopher, and Antonio Del Bono. Okay, so over the past couple months at Antonio Del Bono, they've had safe routes to school presentations, bike rodeo, a walk and roll to school, and then the 5th grade had a field trip to the Morgan Hill Courthouse. They've had anti-bullying presentations, college days, and a harvest festival. Here's a picture of the bike rodeo on their campus. A couple students who walk and roll to school. And for their presentations, they had these posters hanging around just to remind the students, Here's some pictures of college days where they had door decorating, and the teachers all wore their blue shirts or the color blue to represent students. Okay, and then Christopher High October. So we had our homecoming week, which was themed Christopher's Got Game. So the 15th through the 17th, we had class float building. The 18th was our homecoming parade. The 19th, we had our football game. 20th was the homecoming dance, and then the 24th was our breast cancer awareness day, and the 26th through the 30th, drama held their haunted house, which is their big fundraiser for the year, and then October 30th through the 31st, we had our Halloween fun days. So our spirit week for this week, we had Monday, which was Uno, so that was class colors for Rally Day. Tuesday was Operation, which is Fake and Injury Day. Wednesday, we had Hungry Hungry Hippos Day, where everyone dressed like their favorite food. And then Thursday was the Thorough Day, so people dressed like aliens or like they're from outer space. And then Friday was Guess Who Day, which was a social swap. Here's some pictures from our Spirit Week. couple of our floats from this year, and our floats were themed like Mario Kart, like different lands for Mario Kart. So here's some of our royalty at the parade. Our homecoming football game. The picture on the right, every year we have a skydiver deliver the game ball.
Didn't tell us that. Don't give us pictures of that.
And then our homecoming dance was themed Checkmate, a night fit for royals. Our breast cancer awareness day, we had like a ping pong tournament, and then and then we always serve cotton candy during lunchtime. Okay, so November, we've been doing our Treats for Troops, which, that ended a couple weeks back, but we gathered a lot of candy, and we turned it into a class competition for spirit points. The 1st through the 16th, we've been having our ASB Poinsettia fundraiser, where we fundraise for Cougar Fest. The 5th through the 16th, we're having our canned food drive, which is a competition amongst the classes, and the class who gets the most gets a donut party. November 8th, choir had their open mic night, and the 10th, we had our senior dinner dance. Here's some pictures from our senior dinner dance. There was a time at the senior dinner dance where there were fireworks going off on a different boat, and everybody was freaking out thinking it was for us. It wasn't, but made nice pictures. Thank you.
Now we have the superintendent's report.
All right, I want to start my report this evening by talking about air quality and smoke. It's a topic that we're all very much aware of right now, first starting with the tragedy of so many people losing their homes and some their lives, and it's just a terrible situation. They have our utmost sympathy. The smoke, unfortunately, is causing problems throughout the Bay Area. And we've been posting a lot of information on our website, some information that was posted later today, so you may want to look at it. But this morning, all of the superintendents in the county and our county office superintendent, we had a conference call, and we talked about the impacts of the smoke and the air quality. And we decided as a group that we will keep our schools open in Santa Clara County because we feel that our schools provide a very safe environment for our students during these difficult times. And we know that by canceling school, some of our students would be unsupervised and might not stay indoors, secondary kids. So we made that decision today, and so all schools in Santa Clara County will be open. We're only open through tomorrow. About half the districts are open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So that's a decision, and we've sent out messages to parents and posted information on our website. And just so you know, I really do believe our schools are the best place. After talking to Dan today, I guess the recommendation is to replace air filters once a year. We do it twice a year, and we purchase very high-grade filters for our HVAC. So we feel like the air quality indoors in our schools may be one of the best places in Gilroy right now. And that's part of why all of us made the decision. All the districts felt pretty strongly. Now, some of the counties north of us all the districts are canceling, but we're looking at 175 last time I looked, air quality index for Gilroy. They're in the 300s. Big difference up there. So, I guess there's always good news and bad news to tragic stories like this. But that's where we are right now, and I wanted to just talk about that for a minute. On a positive note, we had, last time I reported to you about Rock the Mock at Christopher High. We learned a lot that day and actually improved on what happened the next day at Gilroy High. So every year we get better and better at doing this event. We had about 42 interviewers on that Friday at Gilroy High, so we had a lot more show up on Friday. and we were able to do one-on-one interviews with the students, with the interviewers, and we got great feedback from the students. We have them fill out a survey before we let them leave online, and just had excellent feedback. In fact, at our planning committee, the committee that plans this, and I know you see Mark Turner there next to his daughter, who's one of our presenters, but our business ed committee plans this event, as you know, and it's about half business people, half school people. And we had a debrief Tuesday at our monthly meeting, and we felt like the event went very well, and we came up with some ideas how to improve it next year. And there were too many people that participated for me to mention everyone, but I will mention that board members participated one of those days, and I really appreciate you being interviewers, and a bunch of our management staff, because we thought we were going to be short, so I put out a all call, we need more people, and we ended up having just enough, so it was great. I have a lot of monthly meetings. I'm not going to talk about each of them, principals meetings, facilities subcommittee, 3 of you are on that. But one event this week that was just a lot of fun was at Christopher High on Tuesday afternoon, where Mark Turner and I went to the Christopher High staff meeting. There, we have the Teacher of the Year through the county office, but there's also the Educator of the Year through the Chamber of Commerce. And this year we nominated, and she was selected as the Educator of the Year, Emily Diaz, who's just an amazing English teacher, happens to be married to a new board member, but that had nothing to do with it, I'll tell you. We very quickly reached consensus that she should be nominated because she's just an amazing teacher. Do we have time to show? Do you have the little video on here? We created a new tradition that we'll have to do every year this year. Did a short little video and announced it. She had no idea this was coming.
So this is the video of the entire life. Eric brought his videos in there. Awards program in February.
Can we turn it
This
up?
program identifies people who play a significant role in contributing in ways to our community. Some of those awards are the Man of the Year, Woman of the Year, nonprofit, those sorts of things. But we also have an award called the Educator of the Year. And somewhere in this room today sits that nominee. And we're going to show you a quick video that we'd like you to see, and then I'll say a little bit more about that.
Eric did that?
Yes. Yeah.
That'd be super nice.
Such a great finish. She was so shocked. Anyway, Emily is a great teacher. Now we have a new where's Eric? He's going to have to do this for us every year because he did such a great job on it. As you know, in the fall, I visit school sites with board members, but in the winter, we do what are called our APS visits. I talked about it last time. So we started with Gilroy High last week, so the Ed Services team and I, go to each of the schools, and we use an instrument. Actually, the schools have modified the instrument to work for their own sites. So we use the Gilroy High instrument, and each of us do a department. I'm doing math, again, because we just have so many new teachers and I have to see them. But then today we had the GECA APS, which I actually ended up not going on my first APS. I think it's the first one I've missed, right, in all these years because of the county superintendents. I got the call at like 8:15 that we were doing this at 9:15. Plus I was dealing with all kinds of notifications this morning. So I missed GECA's, but I talked to Sonia at the end of the day, and she said it went very well, as you would expect. GECA's an amazing school. And I'll get a chance probably to debrief with Deb and hear about some of the comments. The upcoming APS visits are we do the high schools first, so we've done 2, and now we have 2 more, Christopher High on the 27th, and then Mount Madonna on December 4th, and then we'll start the middle school rounds before the break with South Valley. And I just want to mention, tomorrow we have the Thanksgiving feast at Mount Madonna. Many of us attend that every year. It's a great event put on by our food service folks and a lot of volunteers at Mount Madonna. And on Saturday, Cheryl and I will be attending the mayor's coffee. He specifically asked that we come and talk about school safety. So Cheryl mostly has put together a PowerPoint, and we're going to talk to whoever attends. I guess it ranges greatly from 10 to 60 people attend these coffees, so we'll be there talking about school safety at 9:15. He's confirmed that he wants us there at that time on Saturday. And then the following week, all of us, oh no, I can't say that anymore. Half of this board and our 3 new board members will be attending the annual California School Board Association conference. It's a great conference where we learn a lot about everything we need to know, basically, related to public schools. So we'll be attending that November 29th to December 2nd.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I heard that future former board member Jaime Rosso is going to host a hospitality room for us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be weird, but we welcome the new board members, and we're not going to talk about the 3 of them tonight, but we will be doing a lot of that at the next board meeting. And embarrass all 3 of you, I guarantee it. All right, that concludes my report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move approval. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And now we have 6A, Gilroy High School Pool Project.
And you're on early tonight.
Yeah, my gosh, it's not even 8 o'clock. Don't get used to this.
Yeah, usually you're at the end.
This is very nice. Jim's very jealous.
I'm glad you recognize that.
Well, good evening, Dr. Flores, President Paisano, trustees. Tonight we're going to talk about the Gilroy High School Pool Project. I think in October, the decision had been tabled so the facilities subcommittee could do a little research on some of the options that were presented for the pool. So tonight, what I'd like to do is present that option and our recommendation going forward with the Gilroy High School pool. On October 26th, the facilities subcommittee had the opportunity to go to Yerba Buena High School in Eastside Union High School District to take a look at an existing peninsula. These are 2 jutting peninsulas that are part of the architecture of the pool to assist in coaching and some safety aspects. So to talk briefly about that, I'm hoping the PE teacher from Gilroy High School, Bria, can come up and discuss what she was able to see.
Can you put the picture on of the peninsula we saw? I think that'd be helpful. Yep.
These are examples of the peninsula.
Yeah, so it was, I just once again want to thank all of you for allowing me to go with you to the pool because it was nice because they actually had a swim class
Yeah,
going on. So it was nice for you to be able to see. It was very similar to what we have in a lot of our classes. And the really nice thing about the peninsula is it just adds a little extra security for our beginning swimmers. It closes them off in an area. It allows us to swim both length and sideways. We would not be able to do that without the peninsula, and it gives us a little bit more rovering, if you will, almost all the way around the pool. One thing that did stick out to us about this design with this peninsula was just where the gap was, and I actually prefer our design that accommodates water polo better because it gives us even better sight lines. Board President Paisano and myself talked about how when we were at one corner, you could lose students in the sight line, but where we have the proposed gap, you wouldn't have that. It gives us much better sight lines. So it definitely supports a teacher if they're teaching by themselves much better. They would be able to supervise a shallow and deep area at the same time, and then also accommodate our beginning swimmers.
And it was really great having the PE teacher on that end there and listening to you too, because he really laid out how this all works. And for those of us who aren't swimmers or don't teach swimming in PE, it was really instructive to hear, because on the shallow end, they had probably, 20, 25 kids in that area. And it's not just kids that haven't learned to swim, it's kids that are afraid to go in the deep end and aren't comfortable yet going into that end. And then usually there are two teachers there, so they can supervise the two areas. But our design, as you'll see when we go back, has the gap is in the middle. Mm-hmm. And I know there were some questions about water polo last time, so I know we have the water polo coach here. So if we have questions about that tonight, we at least have the two people who know the uses of the pool and can help with this. But after visiting, because I want to start this out last time, remember I said I wasn't convinced that we needed a peninsula?
You actually said you do not.
I did not support it, and that was a good lesson for me because I'd never seen one. And now that I've actually visited, and we've had lots of conversation while we were there with people involved with the pool, I totally support the peninsula idea. I think it's the safest route, and we can't build two pools. We don't have the room, and we'd have to build two sets of equipment and would put us way out of our budget by doing so.
It should be a good lesson for us in terms of process as well.
Yep, you're right.
Exactly.
We should have had the visit before we even came to a board meeting. You're absolutely right. Yep.
And I want to thank Bria. Bria, you thanked us for allowing you. Thank you for coming because your insights were paramount for me because I also wasn't convinced. I wasn't not in favor of it, but I needed to be convinced. And the one thing that convinced me is I don't want this one. Because if you're standing clear to the left of that, a kid could be right there and you wouldn't be able to see them. So the sight lines were on this, I thought were terrible, but the sight lines of what we're proposing made sense. And I'm sorry, water polo, but to me, the issue really was our swim classes. And the fact that we could also accommodate water polo was a plus. But to see those kids, I was really nervous standing there when the teacher had us back to the kids that were in the pool. And I'm like, turn around, pay attention to those kids. Yeah. And the kids were fine. You know.
We don't do that in our classes. We don't turn our back.
But anyway, so thank you, Bria, for your expertise and your opinion and for your advocacy for this. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to continue with that. You being there was very valuable to me, and like Dr. Flores said, I said I was against it at the last board meeting, and I have seen the light, and that'll teach me to speak out of turn and stop writing down what I say. And just the classroom management of having the peninsula, it makes it so that things can make
really
sense.
Does.
So
Yeah,
it really was a big deal.
And from a safety perspective, I can't imagine not having it now. Right. After seeing those students that don't know how to swim and not being a swimmer myself, just the depth. If they were in that other side, you wouldn't get them in the other side.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So having the shallow side really makes so much sense.
And I also now have a better understanding of water polo. Thank you, Coach Pickford, for helping me understand some of the dimensions there. So,
yeah, like I said, I wish I could
things
have
make
helped on
sense
that
to me
end.
now.
I'm like, you gotta go to Doug. I don't know. I know there's a reason. I just don't know what it is.
I'm sorry, it still doesn't make sense to have meters and yards.
I don't get that.
yeah, no, I'm not advocating that.
I understand why, but it makes no sense.
Well, Doug, I think it would help if you talked about the floating goalposts. That still wasn't clear to me the day we visited. I don't understand. I even went online and did some research, and it's still not clear to me.
The other thing is, initially we were presented with three options. I believe two of them were peninsulas.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming, because it's not clear from the briefing, whether this is the larger or the smaller size peninsula.
We jumped to this part of the presentation, but we've fixed that, I think, in the slides before. So we'll go backwards, and I won't interrupt again, Paul, but let's go ahead and have Doug explain about the water polo aspect.
Okay, so NFHS, which specifies all the rules and regulations of all games, including water polo.
And what does that stand for?
National Federation of High School Athletics.
Thank you.
And the dimensions for water polo are 25 meters by 20 meters is the maximum dimension. And that is those boundaries are defined by what we call a floating field. So you'll place that 25 meters by 20 meters in a facility that's bigger than that so that you can use lane lines to define the perimeter of the pool. And furthermore, what you do is you have at the long ends of the pool, the face of the cage is in line with the boundary line. Whereas if you think about Gilroy High School pool today, we have a fixed pool, which obviously is not movable, and we have to anchor the cage onto the end of the pool and have it come into the field. So today's dimensions at 25 yards by 45 feet are roughly 61% of the allowable surface area, which is obviously, very substandard. It is further compromised by the fact that the sidewalls are hard, and you can't egg beater underneath the wall, and that the ends come into the field. So in reality, it's probably about 58% net field size that we have today. And so if we think about Gilroy High School, there are four main fallacies, four main opportunities for improvement. Let's be positive. The length is obviously one. The width is the other, those two dimensions I just mentioned.
You got all three.
The fixed cage, obviously that now has a further encroachment. But the other very, very critical one, which doesn't get talked about a lot, is the pool orientation. The pool orientation today is east-west, which means that one team is always looking into the sun. And we constantly deal with fairness issues. We always have a big who's going to have to play defense into the sun first. And I think if you talk to any pool architects, ADIS being front of that list, they'll say all new pools with water polo in mind are always built north-south so that the sun is never an advantage or disadvantage to any team. So that's why when we talked about, well, how about we just do a 35-meter pool and maintain the orientation of today's pool with fixed goals at that end, at the far ends, we only fixed one of the four problems. All we did was we made a wide pool. We didn't fix anything else. And if we're going to spend $5+ million on something that we're going to live with for the next 20 or 30 years, we might as well do it right. First and foremost with the peninsula. But once you buy off on the peninsula, you get water polo for free.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Any questions? Can I answer any questions?
The floating part, I get it now because my son did play for a year, and those fixed goalposts, I know were a problem because they're so close to the edge. So you're saying the floating ones come in?
Yeah.
Right?
So the wall that we will have, you have to have 4 feet between the back wall and the face of the cage, and the depth of the cage is only 3 feet. So you can see that there's a boundary, as a cushion around the outer bounds of the lane lines that define the 25 meter by 20 meter, which add an extra ability for the ball to go out, whatever, and still feel like a bigger pool. Because you can't, if this was the boundary right here, and I had the ball in my hand, and I put my hand over the edge, it's still in play. I can still use that field. If that's a wall, I hit the wall, it's it. So that's why it feels even narrower than, and shorter than a floating cage setup.
In the facilities committee meeting, as we were talking about this, I'm sorry, I'm not a swimmer, I'm not a water poloist, but I am a baseball fan. And so it's like playing baseball with no foul territory.
It is.
I mean, to me, once I saw it in those terms, I thought, okay, now that makes sense to me.
And further, you're playing it where the left field fence is 20 feet beyond second base.
Right.
Yeah. Or in basketball, it'd be like having the basketball hoop against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot more sense.
So I still have the same question. How does this factor in to this, what's being presented today, and the smaller peninsula option?
Well, last time we confused you because we had several options on there and
Right.
didn't have the original. So the first thing we did on the chart was put the original board-approved plan, which was for $5 million. Can you go to that chart? We're doing this all out of order, Paul. Sorry. So remember we had several columns last time on this chart?
Yeah, none of it's in here, though.
Right.
Yeah, we took them out. So now you have two.
But this presentation, I don't think I have a physical copy of, so,
Of this chart?
yeah, the presentation.
It's not?
No, it's not in.
Because it wasn't available last Friday.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why that happened, but, okay, so can we reference this chart?
Yeah, okay, so the middle column is what we approved in some month.
Some months ago. So the board approved the left-hand column.
Where it says original.
Yes.
There's 3 columns. The first one is a description, the second one is what we approved, the third one is what is being proposed tonight.
Weren't there two peninsula options?
Yes.
I believe
There were.
In the other chart, there
That's
was
what I keep
one.
asking about.
Okay. Well, in facilities
Staff is
committee,
making this recommendation.
in facilities committee, we felt like that was confusing to the board last time, and so we took those out. And what we're showing you is what you originally approved and what we're recommending.
So like total learn to swim lanes 2, this was the big change, is what we've approved. And then so the proposal tonight is to go to 4.
The numbers are different, though, because
So-
there are much larger deltas than were being shown right now.
Again, at the last meeting, they didn't show us what we had approved. They had 3 different
options. Oh.
That they didn't disambiguate very well. So now we have what we're committed to already, and then what is being recommended tonight.
We're not talking
We
about
have thrown out those other options.
The others
peninsula
are out.
option. Don't talk about it.
There's only one peninsula option, and that's the one we're proposing.
Okay.
So and you were the one that raised some really good questions about one of the columns. So we decided you were right. We took them out. They were confusing. And now we're just showing you what you've approved and what we're recommending.
What's the difference? So looking at the pool that's being recommended with the peninsula, what is the distance between the two peninsula ends? In other words, the portions covered with water.
10 feet.
10 feet.
And are there? I would think, kids being kids, there'd be a really strong urge to jump in there, and I'm wondering about the safety of that. If they're jumping in that peninsula and maybe hit their head or something on the other side of the peninsula.
So when we visited Yerba Buena Pool, their distance from the end of the peninsula to the wall was the 10 feet, the minimum allowable distance to make it one pool, which is what this distance is. I'm not a risk taker, but looking at it, there's no way you're going to make that jump and even hit the wall. But also, I can speak for the way we run our swim classes and the way the rest of my PE team runs our swim classes, and we enforce swimming rules a ton. That kids aren't running on the pool deck. They're not jumping, diving. We have diving blocks out there. They don't even. I mean, one time 4 years ago, we had a kid try and do it, and he got booted from the swim class. So we're very, very strict and follow through, and we're attentive. So I don't see that being an issue.
That's not an issue.
I do not see it being an issue, no. Yeah.
All right, you want to go back? Oh, we haven't shown him the first charts.
We probably should go through everything before we ask questions.
Yeah, so you want to start over, Paul?
Oh, sure. Now that you've confused me beyond all reproach. So I apologize for the packet not being, or the presentation is not part of your packets. Is that what I understand? Okay, so I'm not sure about that, but we'll definitely get these packages to you. This is the original plan, and this pool, if I'm not mistaken, is it's obviously without peninsulas, and it's a 25-yard pool. 35 by 35.
39 meter by
25.
25 yard.
And then the problem was when we laid the peninsula in, we couldn't. The rest of the pool wasn't big enough.
Yeah, that's why we had to go.
We added the swim lanes.
The bigger one.
The learn to swim lanes.
Yes. Well, we added learn to swim and the peninsula, so we had to go to the bigger pool.
And then what we've come to is our current recommendation, which is a 39 meter by 25 yard, or Trustee Pace, if you're checking, it's 42.6509 yards by 22.86 meters.
Actually, I asked for it in smoots.
Oh, give me a second. So with, let's see, we've got the peninsula options covered. We've talked, really I've got my architect here from ADIS is my get out of jail free card, or phone a friend if you have any further questions about the details of the plan.
We need to review what's included in the 5.6 or 8.
I guess, could you talk about where the funding is coming from?
Let's see, funding, so 5 million is coming from Measure E, and then the other 8, or 0.8, would come from Measure P.
Measure P.
And that money was freed up because we're no longer building an elementary school?
Correct.
That is correct. My other
Trustee Bass.
That's me. I just want to clarify, please, that this alleviates your son equity issue. Okay, because I don't understand how it alleviates it, but if you say that it does, then I will.
They're going up, down instead of across.
Hey, Doug, you have to speak into the mic because it's recorded. Thanks.
So if you look at the lane lines, the bottom stripes on the pool, that's the way we run a swim meet. Okay, those are east-west. We play water polo in that same direction today. So the sun follows the path of these lines. When we play water polo in the future, we'll go towards the peninsula, 90 degrees offset. So now the sun is always at one of my sides. I'm not looking right into it.
And the swim racer people, do they care about the sun?
They would, no.
Okay.
No. Their heads are in the water.
They're face down.
Any other questions, comments?
Do we need to go back to the
Jaime
chart?
has a question.
No, I just, I'm very pleased that you made the visit, and I really appreciate the support of the staff that came and made a difference. And it just kind of amazed to me, that it was the impact to our school, and we didn't really realize that. We as a board, in other words, that the importance of what you were doing, the swim class for so many kids that didn't know how to swim. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I was surprised at your Buena. They still have a very high percentage of kids that are beginners too. So it's not unique to our two high schools. A lot of kids come to the high school not knowing how to swim. And what's great is it's part of the California state standards and that we have to do it. And it's good that we do, because I bet a lot of kids wouldn't learn to swim otherwise.
I'm very pleased that the outcome here and that the board is all behind it. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's the right thing for Gilroy, and I'm really proud of that. That's great.
Prejudge our response.
Any other questions or comments?
I just wish that the other board members had had the chance to come along, because as soon as you saw it, you got it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
See the importance of it.
I was for the. I've had a shallow water guard before, so I know the importance of having those ability to see the entire. So I was for it as soon as she explained. I appreciated her explanation, so I'm glad that people were able to see it, to see the importance. I
Sounds like you
appreciate
should run again and get on this board.
I really appreciate the fact that the board just really took everyone's concerns to heart and went out and researched it and came to this conclusion. I'm very pleased.
And I just want to add a footnote. Debbie, cover your ears. But, you know, if we had a pool on the east side of town, we might not have as many kids not knowing how to swim going to our high schools. So I hate to tell you, but I'm not giving up on this.
Well, you're going to have to go out for another bond.
No, I've got it. I've got. I am.
I agree.
City should build a
city
pool.
should
I am
definitely do
putting
that.
together some ideas.
Now you have a topic for coffee with the mayor.
Or our monthly meeting.
So before we get into building a pool on the east side of town, it's our recommendation that the board approve option 2B, which is the pool with the peninsula, and allocate $5.8 million for the Gilroy High School pool project.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done, finally. Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you.
Paul, when, and Adis, I guess I'll ask, when will we actually start construction? Because originally we were going to do it right at the end of the school year, but are we delayed now?
We are delayed a little bit. We're going to do our best to get into DSA for approval as soon as we can. Matter of fact, when I leave tonight, I will be texting our pool consultants and my team just to let them know that we are officially approved, and we'll do our best to get it in as soon as possible. Hopefully, with the process with DSA, I don't have warm fuzzies with DSA right now on their approval process, but we can work with them and get it approved as fast as possible and get out for bidding sooner than later. That's the goal.
So it'll probably be next summer sometime when we start.
I would imagine next summer would be, we don't want to bid in the springtime. That's just a known no-no that we don't want to do. Everybody's busy, so we'll probably be bidding in summer, I would guess, because that's going to give us a more favorable bid than in the spring.
Yeah. And then it's 9 months, approximately 9 to 12 months?
9 to 12 months for once that contract is approved, to get all their submittals in, get the contractor out there to build.
Yep. So a year, the pool will be down. I'm going to say it over and over. We keep telling every user group the pool's going to be down for about a year, but we're working on backup plans for playing and practicing in other pools. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Item 6B, facilities and maintenance monthly updates.
Okay, so moving
Thank
on
you.
to the next item.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Paul.
Thanks.
So in the facilities department, we have a few projects going on. I just want to give you a quick update. At El Roble, we have a fence replacement, and that is internally 3 fences that were not completed during another upgrade project. So we're going to get that done over the Thanksgiving break. That item was approved on the last board meeting, and that should be done before school starts on the subsequent Monday.
And Paul,
Yes.
it's El Roble.
What did I say?
Roble.
Oh, Roble.
Okay.
That's the elementary I went to. Sorry. That's probably why. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So at Gilroy Early College Academy, we have a new science lab that's scheduled to be started. So we had open bids, determined the lowest bidder. Kent Construction is to be awarded the contract pending board action this evening. And work there should be starting on the 26th. Those are items 6E and F. Let's see, obviously we have a pool in design phase at Gilroy High School, and that is going forward. You just heard the timeline from Joe. And let's see, lastly, I believe we have the ADA gate installation at Gilroy High School. That's an ADA gate going from the parking lot up into the campus. And I think the concrete's already been poured for that, so we're just finishing off the project with the gate. And then, this is lastly, we have lights going in on the new math building. The wall adjacent to the track is a little dark at night. There's no lighting that is readily available. So we have a project to install lights for a well-lit path for teachers moving from that side of campus out to the parking lot during night hours. And that's scheduled to go in over the winter break and should only take a few days.
Good evening, Dr. Flores, President Paceno, board members. Tonight I have several items. First are two items with Architectural Systems Incorporated, which is one of the preferred companies of our district. They're doing some of the works that Paul just mentioned. First is for some gate repair and gate panels that need to be replaced at Gilroy High School. I think you've got some pictures in your packet of the condition of several panels behind the theater. They're beyond repair. They need to be replaced. So that repair of the gate has been problematic by the B building. It will not stay closed, will not shut properly. So we'd like to upgrade it to the same hardware we've been using at Christopher High and some of the other sites. And that's $6,235 funded out of RRM. Next is another contract with ASI to improve all the gate hardware at El Roble. The 13 exterior gates there have been problematic for quite some time. Cheryl can attest to this. It was brought up in her report of safety issues. Those gates will not stay closed. The site has chained them closed in the past, which we cannot do. So this is to upgrade the self-closing hardware and latching hardware on all 13 gates, which is going to be a big benefit to that site. This will be funded out of the Wren Avenue purchase.
Dan, in the meantime, the chains are off?
The chains have been off for quite some time.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry, on this Gilroy High gate, it's like rusted through. How long has it been here? Does anybody remember when it went up?
I'm sorry?
The Gilroy High.
No.
I don't know how old that fence is, but that's just unique to that area. I don't know if it's from the tannins in those trees that are causing that. We're going to prune the trees back. They have been pruned back, but that area, for some reason, really suffered badly. In fact, when we went out to look at the gate, I asked the site security people if there were any other areas of the campus of concern. I wasn't even aware that those fence panels were in that condition.
My guess is 94.
Yeah. My guess is some chemical being released from the trees because they're in really bad shape.
Very bad. Next is a contract with Cottage Floors to replace the flooring in the boardroom here, the foyer, the hallway, and the break room. As you can see, it's lived its life. We've had some natural disasters here. We had a bass pond in here from a roof leak 2 years ago, I think. The restrooms have overflowed several years ago. We've cleaned these carpets, even professionally, several times, and the stains just keep coming back. We do have some tears in the foyer that are becoming trip hazards. Cottage Floors has done some repairs, but this is actually, we're to the point of beyond repair now. So it'll be a flooring similar to what is in the offices. It'll be a heavy-duty, high-grade floor tile. It'll complement this color, and we plan to do that over the winter break. And that is $23,266 and 42 cents funded out RRM. Next one is a contract with Weatherproofing Technologies Incorporated to restore the upper area of the Brownell Gym. That area of the roof has lived its life. It's still at the point we can restore it and get a 20-year limited warranty out of it, and it can still be extended beyond that with multiple applications. We've used this product at other sites very successfully. I was not a real fan of roof coatings until I saw this product put down and how it's worked. I think it's money well spent. It's much cheaper than a total rip-off and restore, replace, and I think this roof is a good candidate for that. It'll buy us as much time as we need on that roof. And it's only the upper flat area. It's not the roof area that you see from the ground, the composition shingle. That will be funded out of Measure E. That'll become Paul's project. Next one is a ratification of contract with Total Security Concept Systems for the replacement of 2 cameras that went bad at Los Animas. Unfortunately, they were out of warranty. We did get approval to get this taken care of immediately because of the safety concerns and the areas of the campus that this was in. So this work has already been completed and funded out of RRM. Next one is also a ratification of contract with Plumbing America. This was for an underground sewer repair that was being done over the summer. Our crew started the repair. It turned into a much larger project, deep excavations, and specialized equipment that we do not own. Plumbing America has been an incredible source for us, very, very good contractor. They came in and basically saved the day and did this, had it completed a day before school started. That is $5,428.65, which with the amount of work they did was a very good price. And they did complete this on time. It was getting critical to get it done. It would have had a huge impact on the site. Next one is a ratification of cost of services for the repair of the automatic pool vacuum with National Aquatic Services. We have a automatic pool vac at both sites, Christopher High and Gilroy High. The one at Gilroy High went in for a standard service. It had some problems that we thought we were going to have about $1,000 repair. Once they tore into it, the main board was bad, and the system had to be rebuilt. A new vacuum is over $13,000. So we opted to get it repaired, and we got it back online quicker. That's funded out of RRM, and it's $5,134. And 78 cents, I'm sorry.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Answer the obvious question.
Yes.
Is that money well spent?
That is money well spent.
Because will it fit in the new pool?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, did it? Email.
It'll work in any large pool, but it works very well at Christopher High and Gilroy High. We have the same vacuums. Next one is a ratification of contract also with Cottage Floors for the floor replacements, the carpeted areas at Mount Madonna High School. And I truly want to thank Cottage Floors. They expedited this entire process once we were given the direction to get this done. The material alone is normally a 2-week lead time. Tom and his people brought that in a matter of days, and they started the installation and completed it within 1 week so we could get Mount Madonna back on site. And they're beautiful floors. It's an upgrade to our standard hard surface floor, and I think it's very successful. It'll be a good testing ground. We have this floor at a few other sites. It's been a very, very good floor. It's basically maintenance-free compared to the other VCT tiles, the vinyl tiles that we use. So I'm very pleased this went in. But I do want to thank Tom and Cottage Floors for doing just an exceptional job for us once again. That's funded out of RRM at $35,293.44. I do have just a brief update. We are preparing for winter. It doesn't look like we have rain in the foreseeable forecast, maybe a little bit by the end of the month. But we actually used today, thank you, Dr. Flores, for bringing our guys in today from the smoke. She gave us a directive to bring everybody in, and we used that time wisely. Most of our staff worked inside our shops and worked on our generators, our pumps, all our mechanical equipment, inventoried all our winter gear, inventoried the trucks, what we have, the typical things we use during the winter. So it was time well spent, and we did get everybody out of the field. We have sandbags on hand. Drains and gutters have been cleared regularly. We started that routine about a month ago. Roofs and gutters are checked. We also have some roof repairs being done at the high school Monday that should get us through the winter quite well. And we also have some trees checked, and I have an update to provide to you on the Gilroy High trees. We had those assessed this week. And I don't have a lot to show you. This is one item that you did approve. This is off the 10th Street parking lot at Gilroy High. I thought I had a before and after, but I don't. I'm sorry, but those tree walls were a mess. Some of those had heaved about a foot, and they were huge trip hazards. They were kind of tucked away. They didn't have a lot of traffic there that you could see them because of the parking, but we could have had somebody get injured on that. So that was a project I was happy to get done. So thank you for approving that. We also have a lot of work getting done next week with our short break, but we'll update you on that with some completed projects next time. Thank you.
Okay, good. We need approval of, I'll entertain a motion to approve items C, D, and E, which are all roll call votes.
I have a question.
Oh, you want to talk about something?
No, I have some questions.
I'm sorry,
On
yes.
The ratification of contract with full security for Los Angeles cameras.
Yes.
How old the cameras are being replaced?
They are approximately 3 years old. They were just out of manufacturer's warranty.
And how long is the warranty?
They were 2 years on that.
Does it make sense? Or is there an extended warranty?
We can buy an extended warranty, and we did talk about that briefly in subcommittee. It was pretty expensive to look at all our sites, and I can bring that back again. There are service programs and warranty programs we can buy.
The only reason I'm asking is because, for a 3-year-old camera at $2,000 a piece, that's pretty unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And within the last 2 or 3 years, we bought a lot of cameras. So if they're about to start popping off,
Yeah, and that's true. We can look at that. I can ask them to bring the service. They'd love to have us do a service which would extend our warranties.
Well, a lot of extended warranties on products are big rip-offs, but in some cases it makes sense. I don't know.
Okay, I can absolutely bring that to subcommittee. I'd like to bring that forward and see if that's an option.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions I should ask before I call for the vote? I'm sorry. Questions or comments, board members?
You think you'd have this figured out?
I know, after a year, right? It's okay, it's my last one. Not that I'm celebrating or anything. Yes. Okay, so back to my original comment. I need a motion to approve C, D, and E, which are roll call votes.
So move.
Second.
Yes.
Mark Good.
Yes.
James Pace.
Yes.
Yes.
Patricia Maker.
Yes.
Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Okay, and I will entertain a motion to approve items 6F through N.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, 7A, Resolution 18/1920, layoff of employee in Child Development Program. Leanne was going to do that.
I'm going to do that because, as you know, Leanne is not here. And so I'm recommending that the board approve this resolution to lay off an employee in the Child Development Program. Unfortunately, our migrant preschool numbers have just steadily dropped for the last couple of years. And as of the beginning of this year, we only had a couple of students enrolled in the program. And in consultation with the county office, we decided that we needed to close the program. So it does lead to this layoff, and I'm recommending that the board approve this resolution.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those, roll call vote.
E.T. Doyle absent. Heather Bass.
Yes.
Mark Good.
Yes.
James Pace.
Yes.
Linda Paceno.
Yes.
Patricia Maker.
Yes.
Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Okay, and are we doing 6B? Oh, we are. Okay. 7B, Information Technology Infrastructure Update. Marigal Lizar.
And I'm really hoping the computer presentation part's going to work good.
Hey, where's Kermit?
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Flores, President Piceno. Thank you for having me here tonight to discuss the IT infrastructure update.
Thank you for being here tonight.
A little under the weather.
Sorry. Let me start by asking you a question, and that is, what do you get when you combine $12,422,809 and Measure E bond funds, 18 Gilroy Unified School District sites, and a partnership with E3 Systems, Cisco, and Development Group, Inc.? We get a consolidated infrastructure. You may recall before the infrastructure upgrade, everything at our sites perform in silos rather than working together as one united system. We had different networks that serve different purposes, and they really didn't share anything between the network. Now, from start to finish, in January of 2017, we received board approval to begin working on the IT infrastructure upgrades. And this entails structured cabling. And I'm just going to name them, the main categories. There's a lot that goes into each category. But mainly structured cabling, network electronics, phone system, and wireless. As you can see by the chart, we have completed all 4 areas at every site in the district, and we're still currently working on the demolition of old cables, but all schools have already benefited from, this upgrade. And before I go on, I would like to take you for a little walk in the past. So remember when all the sites were equipped with Cat5 cable that could not support the growing needs of the district? Today, we have new Cat6 cable. We didn't replace all Cat5 cable, but we did add Cat6 cable to be able to support the new equipment, mainly the wireless. So, as you can see from the pictures, at the top, that used to be our IDFs and our closets or distribution facilities. They look very different today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to zoom a little bit here. So this is the before, and this is the after. So it was very difficult to troubleshoot, when somebody called and said, we don't, something is not working. Going to those closets and trying to make sense of, what was connected where, it was very, very difficult. So now we are more efficient when we troubleshoot. We have added a lot of power over Ethernet capacity. And we do have limited lifetime warranty in all the structured cabling. So what can we expect from that? At least 30 years of life in the structured cabling. Now, if something happens, that is not a defect in the cabling that is not covered, and like, for example, we have a squirrel and shoes on the cables, those sort of things are not covered.
Yeah, I'll take care of the squirrels.
Remember when our network was experiencing poor performance and choke points, due to an aging multi-mode network? Well, we have made a lot of changes. Now we have a single mode network. We support speeds of 10 gigs currently, but the network that we have built, it's easily scalable to 40 gigs and 100 gigs. If we only change a module at the school sites, per school site and the district office. So we don't have to rip apart everything and replace everything in order to get those speeds when we get there, right? So before, I don't know if you remember from the past presentation, there were some times where students took, between 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to log in or to submit answers before the next popped in, and that is no longer the case. So we have new infrastructure, we have more equipment, and we're full steam ahead, since that is a theme of ours. I do want to show you something that I think that is very interesting to note, and that is our equipment inventory from 2015 to 2018. Please keep in mind that this is only district equipment owned by the district, paid by the district, and does not include any BYOD devices, bring your own device, that students and staff are bringing on our campuses. So as you can see, in 2015, we had about 4,500 Chromebooks. We currently have 9,900. Cards, we used to have 141 cards. Now we have 340. Not all the cards have the same amount of Chromebooks. Some cards have 36 Chromebooks, some cards have 20. And we have a few that have 15. And that depends on the use of the cards and, how are distributing within the school site. We have now a whole lot more Chromeboxes in the district, and that some of those Chromeboxes have replaced the Windows computers that we had. And as you can see, the amount of Windows computers has decreased, right? Because we are making an effort to really make that transition, since we have invested a lot of money in, our Chrome environments. We also have some schools that have been using tablets, and they are exploring and testing the use of tablets. And now, the new addition, thank you to the plan upgrade that's possible. We have now 374 clock speakers that are connected to our network. So I also want to mention that the average device count connected to our network in any given day, it's a little bit over 20,000 devices. And that includes our devices, district-owned and BYOD. And that's one of the main reasons why we upgraded, right? So we could increase our capacity and be able to handle the load and the traffic. Remember when we had voice, video, and data, and everything was a mismatch and running wild in our network? Now data and voice are consolidated, and they are converged. They run in one network, and now we also have standards. And because of that, we have also, because we now have the capacity, we have added now the PA system at Rock Kelly, Gilroy High School, and Mount Madonna. They are IP-based system, and they are also integrated. So they have now a web interface. They adhere to standards, and we can now easily make the changes either from a school, central location like the district office, or like, for example, if we are at any point at any of our sites and somebody calls and say we need a change and we need it right now, we can access those systems from any of our sites securely, and we're able to make those changes on the fly as they need, which is not the case with, the analog systems that we have at the other schools. And talking about analog systems or phones, we're a hybrid of IP-based phones and analog system, and we used to have 408 area codes, if you remember. We did take the opportunity when we installed the new phone system, and And so we changed to the 669 area code just because 408 didn't have enough numbers, and we wanted to have the same prefix to all of the school sites and make sure that we were able to provide capacity to the schools as well in case we had growth. And stay within those numbers and that prefix being the 205 number part of our phone, without having to add or change anything in our system. So all of our sites now, they have VoIP phones, and we are consistent. We all have the same area code, and we all have the same prefix, which it was not the case before. With that, we have added a lot of functionality to the phone system. You have a corporate directory at the phone itself, so you press a button and you are able to search for the number, the extension for anybody that is in our in our phone system. We also have schedules. The classroom phones do not ring during school hours, but they do ring before and after. We still can reach teachers through the front office. And during the day, while the phone number doesn't ring in the classroom, parents still are able to leave messages for the teachers if they so desire. And those voice messages now go to email. So you don't have to be at the physical phone in order to listen to that email. So if you have your email configured in your phone or your laptop, you access the email through the laptop, you are able to manage your voicemail inbox through email. And it integrates with Google as well. So I did talk about the real-time directory, and we also have the benefit of E911. And that is E911 provides not only the address of the site to the PSAT, which is the office that answers the 911 calls, but it also provides the exact location of the phone call. A specific room, right. So if I'm making a call from, let's say, a Rucker, room 6, PSAT will see the address of record, will see the name of the school, and will see room, did I say P6? Yes, P6, just to be consistent. And that's what PSAT will do. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, the teacher extensions do not ring during class, right? But if a teacher calls during that period of time, there is a number that will show at the PSAT center, and they're going to be able to return the call in case they get disconnected. And that phone is going to be active within a 2-hour period. And those numbers are not published anywhere. They just go to PSAT. So if that was the case, they would still be able to return the calls. We also have, a lot of functionality that we didn't have, like video conferencing, which makes a big difference. We're able to make video calls between the school sites and the district office, or between offices, or between school sites. And I have to say that at the beginning, people were not too thrilled about, the video calls. And there's still a lot of people that are not using it. But as the time is going by, more people are using the feature, because when you're making that call and you see the other person, it really makes a difference, in the conversation.
You have some skeptical people in the audience on that one.
Just uncomfortable people.
You can conference calls. Before, we just had selected phones that were able to do that because it was a paid services.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody can have a conference call, up to 4 people in the room. And we have, a whole lot of other features like park calls and joint calls and, which I'm pretty sure you do not want to hear about it, but it's pretty exciting. And if you would like to know how it works, I'm more than happy to show you. Also, remember when only high schools and middle schools had Wi-Fi? Now all of our schools have wireless. And we have also augmented the wireless capacity at the high schools and the middle schools. Like before at the high schools, we had access point in, every other classroom. Now we have wireless access on all learning spaces. And I included a chart where you can see what we had in 2015 and what we have today. If you look at the switches line, which is the devices that sit at the distribution facilities, you will see a decrease in switches, right? We used to have 478. Now we have 469. But if you look at the bottom row, you have a port count, and you can see that we increased the capacity. We used to have only 9,000 ports. Now we have 14,000 ports. And that is while we reduce the footprint in every closet. And that is because before we used to have switches that had between 12 ports, 24 ports. Now we have 48 ports and 24 ports. So we have, we saved energy, we save space, we save cabling, and the switches that we have in place now, they have more capacity. Also, you can see that we used to have 435 access points. Now we have 778 access points throughout the district. Now, every single port that you see on the walls, now they have access. Before, we had ports on the walls, but not all of them were connected because we didn't have enough devices in the closet. So if a teacher had 6 ports in the classroom, but only 4 were active and they wanted to use the other 2, they had to call us. We had to go to those closets that were very messy, try to figure out what was what, and then disconnect and reconnect because we didn't have enough capacity in the closets, right? Now we don't have to do that. And so, teachers and staff, they can use any port that is available. Also, we have power over Ethernet capacity in all of our switches, and before we didn't. And some of our switches, not all the switches because we don't need it everywhere, but they have up to a capacity of up to 60 watts per port, and the rest of them 30. And just so you have an idea, phones only use 3.7 watts, an access point uses 30, and a speaker uses about 15.4. And we have UPSs in every single closet. So if we lose electricity, the UPSs provide battery backup in every single closet. That means that the wireless is up and the phones are up. And also the speakers, wherever we have IP-based speakers. And that will give enough time for, the either power to come back up or the school to, make announcements or do whatever they need to do. Students save their work, things like that. The runtime in those UPSs are between 20 minutes and 3 hours, depending on the location. And even though this slide is really not part or was not part of the LAN upgrade, the reason I included this is because of the changes that we have made and the efficiencies that we have created over the past 18 months, we're now able to reallocate resources to other equally important services. And for example, today everything and everyone and everything is now at gilroyunified.org. Before, teachers were at GilroyUnified.org, students were at GUSDStu.org, and we were not able to integrate some software because, we were in separate domains. This past summer, we migrated students from one domain to at GilroyUnified.org, and that allows us to implement Clever. And I do want to show you really quick what Clever is, because I think that, so I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to show you Clever. So Clever is a portal that interfaces with the student information system, and it interfaces with some of our curriculum applications. So what it does is that it also integrates with Google, which is very important for us. So it's a portal for students to access curriculum software that we use, like Benchmark, like Renaissance Learning. And if you click on Login with Google, you can enter your district email and password. You don't have to have an additional account in order to access this, right? So you remember one username and password, and that's it, right? It also has another feature where you can log in with badges, but I'll talk about that shortly. So you click on Login with Google, and,
And you were doing so well.
I know. I even stopped coughing. So hold on, let me see. Okay. So, so this is a portal, and as this is customized to every student depending on the grade level and the school that they attend. So not everybody is going to see everything. They're only going to see the applications, that they're used in their classroom. And it has a very easy management interface for us. Here you see everything that we have so far, because this is my account and I do have access to everything. But once a student is here, all they have to do is click on Benchmark if that's what they're going to use, and it logs them in. They don't have to remember an additional username and password. So if the school is using 6 applications and they're integrated with Clever, they don't have to remember 6 different usernames and passwords. They access everything through here. And also, at the end of the year, we do one rollover versus 6 different ones, right? And we do them for all the schools. And they don't have to wait anymore, additional time to roster classrooms. And let me now go back to the other slide. And so before we had Clever, students used to access the applications in different ways. If they were in a Chromebook, they had to remember that some were bookmarks, some were at the bottom, and if they were on a Windows computer, they had to remember that some were on the desktop and the other ones were in the browser. And if they were logging from Explorer, it was different than logging from Chrome, right? So we have eliminated all those things and hopefully made it easier for the students and the teachers to access the applications that they need, so they can focus on the things that they're great at, and that's teaching and not troubleshooting, right? So we love Clever.
Do the students know about Clever, or is that a...
Yeah, as in my visits, I've had teachers and others show me.
Okay.
So it's out there, and everybody who's using it loves it, especially the younger kids.
Sure.
Because they used to spend so much time
Yeah.
logging into these
Yeah, it's
various
so crazy.
applications, and
Having
now they just log
sheets
on
of
the cover.
Yeah.
Whoever thought that was really clever.
Someone whose mother couldn't remember her password.
So we have mainly focused on the elementary schools because Clever also has a feature called Clever Badges. And so Clever Badges are a barcode that looks like this. If you can, see it, it's just a barcode. And they can have a device with a barcode, or they can also print it, and the students have their username not their username, their name and their last name, and they put it in front of the camera of the Chromebook, and it logs them in. So that is very nice for the kinder students and for the first grade students that are still learning to type. It eliminates some of the time that they're spent logging in, and now they're spending more time in in learning the students. So let's see. This is some of the analytics that Clever provides, because it also provides data. And so you can see here that in the last 28 days, we've had about 1,800 logins to benchmark, and it does provide us information by application. So as the time passes, we can then start to correlate some of the use that we have to results and things like that. So now going back to the presentation. As far as data and cybersecurity goes, we now have an umbrella of protection that we didn't have before. Security, it is an ongoing process, and we continually try to minimize the danger that comes with open networks, right? Like we have open campuses. Everybody can walk into our campus and access our network. We do provide guest access for non-staff members and people that are not students. And I'm not going to go into detail about all the levels of security that we have, but we didn't have email security before. It was just what Google provided. Now we do. We're scanning in addition to what Google is doing for phishing viruses. We have web security, which is different from web filtering. We also scan, if somebody accesses a web page, we also scan the content of the web page to see if it has embedded viruses and things like that. The ports on every wall, they also have security, and we did that by implementing access lists at every single school and by segmenting, the access for staff, teachers, and administrative support. The perimeter security is what we have, between the district and the internet, and that we used to have, but we just made it stronger. And now we have visibility not only of what comes in and goes out of the network, but also what goes between one site and the other. And now that we have everything in place, it is critical that we maintain and that we manage what we have while striving to keep up and at times stay ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing industry. I think that we have set the stage for growth in both quantity of devices and traffic, but we have to continually maintain these networks. So today, and we didn't have before, we're able to monitor and manage the network. We're able to manage the wireless network, and we have visibility and security across our systems. I was going to show you real time, but in the essence of time, I'm just going to show you a slide with some of the graphs that I look at on a daily basis. And at the top left corner, and this was not part of your packet because I was going to show you live, right? But that takes a little bit time. So at the top left corner, you can see how the demand has increased. In November, December of 2017, we didn't have 2,000 devices on the network. And this is unique devices, right? I also want to mention that these are only GUSD devices. This chart does not include BYOD. And at the end of October, we have almost 5,000 clients, wireless, and then what you see in I don't know what color it is, purple maybe, those are wired. So you have two charts happening here, and let me see. You have this, right, which are the wireless, and that the one behind that right here, those are wired clients. So you can add 5,000 plus almost 3,000, because I can't see where that lands. And those are the amount of devices that have access or network, unique devices that have access or network at that point in time. So we also look at, the bandwidth, the utilization, how the hardware is doing, if we have issues, if we don't. We look at patterns, and the purpose of that is so we can proactively fix issues before a device goes down. And the bottom right graph, that shows you the bandwidth utilization of Christopher High School, or is it Gilroy? I think it's Gilroy. That's where I drilled down on the graph that you can see on the left. So this belongs to this bar. Mm-hmm. And we can go deeper into the traffic. And why is that important? Because, we upgraded our network, right? We have a lot of traffic. We went from a 1-lane freeway to a 10-lane freeway. And before, we did not know if we had trucks or we have cars or we had bicycles or we had pedestrians in that lane. Now we do. And we want to know how many of those types of traffics we have, because that's how we're going to be able to project growth. And we don't, we're not just going to say, well, we think that we might need, 40 gigs in the future. We can, once we start to collect data, we can see at the patterns, and then we can say, okay, based on what we have seen so far and how we have grown over the period of, 2 or 3 years, this is what we think we will use in the future. And
The bottom left figure, is that? Explain that.
the bottom left, this one?
Yeah.
That is the uplink from every school to the district office.
Ooh. So it stands out like Christopher has less bandwidth than Gilroy?
No, that's the utilization. Every single school has a backbone of 10 gigs. Every school. And that includes Brownell and includes South Valley. And out of those 10 gigs, what that graph is telling you is that I think I took a snapshot of half a day. And in half a day, the max utilization at any given time was 1.25 gigs of traffic between Gilroy High School. It is Gilroy High School, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't see. Gilroy High School and the district office.
Gigs or megs?
Gigabits. I made a typo. It is gigs. Sorry. It is gigs, and you can see South Valley is right behind it, Glenview, and this changes. It depends on what's going on with curriculum at the school side, the activities, the events is very interesting to look at the traffic and what's happening at the school side. Now on the right hand side, you can see how the traffic changes, between 7 o'clock in the morning and noon. So, yeah, but I made a typo there. It's supposed to be gigs, not megs. And then here I cut it off, but these are gigs as well. Yes. Any questions?
Mr. Russell.
Thank you for the, education. Is there anticipated savings that we are achieving through all this technology improvement versus, by eliminating all the other systems that we had, and now we're on one basic network system? Do we have a projection of what it actually savings to the district?
I've not run the numbers yet because I don't have enough data. I mean, the last school that we upgraded was in the summer, so not all schools have been in the new network for the same amount of time. But there is a difference, for example, in the electricity that we are consuming. That's one. The other is not that the cost has reduced, but we have created a lot of efficiencies that we didn't have yesterday, right? So, for example, in the past, if a teacher called because they had issues in a given classroom, it could have taken us 2.5 hours, 3 hours before we determine what the issue is. So we really cannot quantify how much instruction we're losing, time in instruction, because, we can't really put a dollar amount to that. But with what we have in place and the monitoring tools that we now have, we can proactively look at those issues and take care of those before they become a problem. So in many instances, the teachers don't have to call us because we take care of the issues before they see that or feel the consequences, right? And so that's one of the efficiencies that we have created, because everything now is mapped and we know where things are and how they are connected and they work together. If we have to go to a closet, we can find something right away. Versus before, you saw from the pictures, we really had to follow a cable to see where it was connected. And just the way you saw in the pictures in the closet, it was the same way above the ceiling or behind the walls. And that is very difficult to troubleshoot. Yes.
So is there a anticipated increased cost to operate? I mean, are we going to need to maintain our system?
We do have to maintain it, and we do have to operate, right? We do have to keep up with the system.
Cost-wise, are we anticipating a greater cost or to maintain the system than what we are currently allocating?
Ratio of IT people per devices that we maintain, it is low. It is low. So if we want to increase the customer service experience and we want to provide more services and more tools in the classrooms, we would have to look at it. Did I?
Do we, and I don't mean to monopolize.
I think what you're asking is, are we going to stay on budget, or are the costs going to increase more than we're currently budgeting? Is that what you're asking?
That's
And
part
do
of
we
it.
need to increase the budget is what I hear.
Right.
Yeah. Do we need more?
We need to reallocate.
In other words, do we have sufficient monetary resources currently to cover what we're doing?
Or what needs?
Well, let's just put her on the spot, shall we? I'm not sure that's a question that she can answer.
I guess I'd give her a little bit more time, and Alvaro's not here this evening, so I'd like to have her respond thoughtfully to that after they've had a chance to think about it.
Oh, sure, after Mr. Rosso's off the board. He'll never get his question answered.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, go ahead.
Trustee Russ. Trustee Pace, go ahead.
All right.
I'll call you.
Thank you for the really good presentation. This was a nice overview, and I learned a lot, so thank you. And my compliments to you and your team. I know you've worked very hard to make all this happen and gone through a lot of rat's nests, probably literally.
Spiders.
And I know you've had some bugs that you have tracked down personally that was affecting a Gilroy High classroom that I'm aware of. That sounds like is a lot of work that you have made our network something we can be proud of. This is nice. So thank you, and great presentation.
Thank you.
Trustee Russo.
Sorry.
You can respond if you'd like.
Yes, and it's amazing, how far we've come since, we just allocated the funds, and it's amazing how far we've come. I guess 12 million can do a lot. So I'm kind of curious, a couple other things. Are security cameras integrated into the systems? In other words, I know we've got just about everything else integrated. Are security cameras integrated?
Not yet, but we are looking into it, and once we get to that, I don't anticipate to be a big cost. Just because the way we have built and designed our network, we try to build it and design it based on standards and making sure that, that we were not going to have to spend a whole lot of money again, when trying to add or build into, right? And so it will be a cost, but it's not going to be high. Per closet, and we have over 170, I don't know, maybe we're looking at about $500, $700 per closet, something like that. But we still have to, look at it a little bit more in depth. But we're ready for that, though. The network will support it. We do have the configuration that it needs, like, for example, quality of service. so we can prioritize the traffic in the network, and the segmentation. All that is already done and is part of the design.
Anything else?
On how did we come out we were budgeted for 12 million. So how did we come out in the spend? Do we have have we spent all the money, or?
Since we have not finished the demolition, I cannot give you the final dollar amount, but we are not over budget.
Yay.
And we still have money, but we do have to finish the demolition. And then once we finish the demolition, I can, give you final numbers. But so far, we have over $200,000 still that we've not spent. But a lot of it is allotted for the demolition. So we were, as we worked throughout the project, we reviewed and we made changes as we needed to make sure that didn't happen. And we made sure also that we didn't compromise quality and that we didn't reduce the scope of the project.
Thank you. We have one request to speak, Jonathan Bass.
Thank you. I'm Jonathan Bass, a teacher at South Valley Middle School. It's a comment regarding the phone system. It might be a good idea, and pardon me if this has happened and I was just unaware, but if there's a training on the new phone system, because I learned about a lot of features that I didn't know were there, like I could look up phone numbers directly on the phone, the video calling, accessing my voicemail on the computer, conference calls. So these are capabilities that, I'd love to be able to take advantage of. So thanks.
Good idea.
Can I answer to that?
Yes.
So as we did the network implementation, we did go to each class, a school. I personally went to the school, went to a staff meeting, and trained the teachers in how to use the new system, the difference between the wireless, the security, how to access the guest network, how to use the phone system, et cetera, et cetera. Because we did, Solorzano, South Valley, Brownell, and Christopher High School this past summer. The only school that we were able to get around to offer that teacher in service was Solorzano, and then the other schools were, busy getting the year going, so on and so forth, and we, didn't connect. But I will make sure that we go back to those schools and that we provide the same in service that we provided to the rest of the schools.
Sounds like a great YouTube series.
It does.
Maribel picking up the phone.
Thank you, Maribel. That was great.
I do want to thank all of you for allotting us the funds, to work on this project and, to improve the technology on our district. I feel that, we really took on a lot, and we did in 18 months what other school districts do in a longer period of time, and that was only possible because you supported it and because you approved, this project back in 2017, and you believed, in us and that it could be done and that we were going to get it done. So, the benefits are really enormous, and I do want to thank every single one of you, for your support, and everybody else, that cooperated a lot. Dan, I cannot tell you how much, he supported us as we were doing the structured cabling at the school sites. But again, thank you for the opportunity. I do feel very fortunate to be able to work in projects like these and making a difference for our students and for our teachers. And, we've read a lot of books, but I really think that together we have opened a door for our students and our teachers so they can focus more on teaching and learning and not, troubleshooting in the classroom, so we can then create 21st century classrooms, bring on STEAM environments, so on and so forth. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well done.
Incredible.
Okay, item 7C, special education update. It says special educational. I think it means education update.
Especially educational.
Especially educational.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. Good evening, President Vicino, Vice President Pace, trustees, Dr. Flores. This evening, I'll be presenting to you and providing an update on the Special Education Department Student Services. What did I do?
If you tell me next, I'll start for you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot too much to do. Too much to remember. Okay. How do I hit this one?
Just press.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just press enter or this key.
Oh, this key. Okay, perfect. Okay. So we'll start with our student population. For most of our disability areas of disability, we've consistently, it's varied, but consistently pretty much stayed the same in these disabilities. In the next slide, if you see, we've seen an increase here in just about every area except in the area of students that are qualifying as their primary disability in speech and language impairment. So we've actually seen a reduction in there. We've seen an increase, and that's on our next slide, a substantial increase, and we discussed this a little bit in June, in other health impairment and specific learning disability, and again, slightly an increase in students with emotional disturbance and a little bit in autism. So our students that receive speech and language services, these are our students that qualify for any disability, any eligibility under any disability, that as a related service, they need speech and language services. So we've seen a slight increase, about 7 more students. We have seen I feel our students making progress and have a more efficient process of how we are identifying exiting students and preparing students. We've seen a slight reduction, and actually pretty substantial in the last couple years, which on the next slide, when I talk about staffing, we have been able to reduce 1 full FTE for occupational therapists. In our LVN licensed vocational nursing, we have an additional student that needs, or additional position of a LVN, and how services are provided is through their IEP, but we also, students that might have their need diabetic that needs services, our LVNs assist with that. So many of when we say we have 6, the number of students, there's 6 students, and then as students come in, these are basically full-time, and then students that need check-ins with diabetes, there's an LVN on sites when our RN is not. As far as residential placements, this time last year we had 6 students in residential. At the end of last year we had 3 students in residential placements. We have 2, and we are in the process of transitioning 1 more student back that should be transitioning out of residential the end of December. With our non-public schools, we've pretty much stayed the same since I reported to you back in June. We have also been able to accommodate some additional students in our district programs. So we've seen a decrease of 5 students in county programs. Okay. With our staffing, we have 3 vacancies. However, in the RSP, we do have one of our vacancies being filled currently by a credentialed retired teacher. And the good news, Paul had told me right before the board meetings, we actually are vacancy for the moderate severe class, our SH class at ADB, that we have a signed contract. So that's no longer a vacancy. Our school psychologist, we do have one vacancy, but we do have a part-time retired former Gilroy school psychologist that's helping with that need. And then our others, the district school psychologists are helping cover our one site that still needs a psychologist. What I also want to mention is, as far as staffing, under our special day class, mild and moderate, from last year, what I reported to you at this time, really looking and tightening up at our staffing. We reduced the number of we reduced by 2 special day classes at our high school program. Okay. Our classified staff, so we have seen a little bit of a reduction in the area of our special circumstance instructional assistant. We do have currently 4 vacancies that we're still trying to fill. We have interviews the week after Thanksgiving. This is in addition to we attended county fairs. We're consistently and continuing to recruit. I was just at a parent meeting, actually, at one of our elementary schools, and I did some career counseling, and I have 2 parents that applied for para positions. And we continue communication is I really think an area that we've improved on. We continue to attend held and have regular scheduled meetings for our special education teachers, occupational therapy, speech and language, and psychologists. A staff member, usually it's myself, but other members in my student services team attend the principal meetings, and sometimes we present. This year, we're really trying to do some partial trainings with the principals in the time when we attend. We have weekly student services meeting. I meet with the program specialists and our coordinator, and then once a month I meet with even the classified staff. All of us meet together. What we really thought was important, and we implemented last year and even more to an extent this year, is differentiated team meetings at the elementary and secondary levels. What we are doing, and we have one tomorrow, is we are holding collaboration days where the department heads attend with our secondary program specialist. We hold our high school department meeting is tomorrow, and then we also have collaborative days with our middle school department heads. Okay, so this is my favorite part. So right now, as far as corrective actions, we have no pending corrective actions at this point. I want to say, I think at this time last year, I think we had 6 or 7 that we were working on. So we're very pleased with this news.
As are we.
So student services is another area we're very excited about. This October, our RSP and STC teachers received targeted professional development in literacy and in regards to dyslexia guidelines. Our elementary staff received 3 days of training, October 10th, 11th, and 12th. And our secondary teachers participated in the dyslexia guidelines training, and then they had their additional day of training on October 12th. Our autism staff received trainings in Unique. We started implementing and working with our staff with Unique in our moderate to severe classes, and we continued it this year where they had more of like more advanced training. So we were able to provide trainings in these areas, partnering and taking advantage of the trainings that the County Office of Education could help us provide, and our SELPA. Another thing that we're very excited about is we hosted the SELPA dyslexia training for South County. So it was held here at the Annex. We had approximately 30 staff, Gilroy teachers, psychologists, and our lit facilitators attended this training. And then we had other members from our SELPA, primarily Morgan Hill and Eastside, that also attended that training. Another exciting thing that we've been able to offer this year is 2 of our teachers attended the intensive Pentane training. Pentane is a training that our SELPA hosts that we are able to, each district's able to nominate 2 teachers that would be able to participate. It's 3 days of training, and then it is mentoring and coaching once a week. So it's targeted at teachers who are in autism programs or in students that have social emotional needs. And then this is just, again, a sampling of the professional development that we offered. I want to also give a shout out to Mandy Reedy, because she allowed our paras in the therapeutic programs and our BSAs to attend the trauma-informed care training that she provided. One of the things that we are offering in our January training is partnering with Ed Services. So all along, there's been opportunities for the special education staff to attend the trainings that are offered by Ed Services. And in January, the trainings that are being presented and offered by special education are going to be offered to all the general ed teachers with a heavy emphasis on behavior. So this last October, if you can see, we really, the emphasis was on reading and reading intervention. And what's not on this slide is our secondary teachers participated in trainings in the Read 180 for our middle school teachers, and our high school teachers participated in Achieve 3000, kind of day 2, because we started this in August. And then our goals for this year. So the Student Services Department has always done their visits. We do our monthly visits and visit our classrooms. And now with, again, talking to Dr. Flores and the Ed Services Department, we're going to participate in the APS visits. I think it's very important for our staff to see and be very aware of what's going on in our general education classes, to be able to prepare our students and our teachers to transition our students as appropriate back to those programs. And I think it also sends a very strong message that we're all on the continuum of options, and, very promotes, again, our philosophy of inclusivity. So we'll continue. The big push was to, work with collaborating with the teachers at the sites to pilot and recommend the curriculum the supplemental curriculum that's being used in our classrooms. And this year, it's really monitoring the implementation of this curriculum. So this last month, we were so excited to see in the classrooms that we walked around that the Read 180, Achieve 3000, and Sunday at the elementary was being implemented in our programs. We continue to try to support sites with behavior intervention and mental health needs, which are our primary focus and need, I have to say, this year, in not only our special education programs, but in our general education programs. And that is also the primary reason that we want to really offer or give the opportunity to general education teachers to participate in the trainings that special education is offering for the January training, because there will be a heavy emphasis on behaviors intervention. Let's see. Again, in working with the school psychologist on the professional development days and in their monthly job alikes, one of the things that really came clear is that they need more time to work together on difficult cases. So we're seeing some very challenging cases and situations. The last October training, the psychologists, what they did is they reviewed psych reports in relation to IEEs. So again, seeing why when an IEE needs to be granted, why is that? What are the issues in our reports that psychologists or our teams are in our evaluations that are missing that would warrant an IEE being granted? And then again, a continued increase with communication with parents. What we'd like to do, and I talked to Dr. Flores about, is to offer parent training nights. So we're going to start with something that is achievable and offer 2 before the end of the school year. And it wouldn't just be offered to parents of students in special education, but again, all our general education parents with different topics. And that's it.
Questions or comments, board members? Trustee Good.
Thank you very much for that report. You know, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The special education is such an important issue to this district, and the job you've been doing ever since you came here is nothing short of stellar. And so I really appreciate it. You have us headed on the right track. So a question I would have for you, in a perfect world, what additional resources could we give you to help you? with you know,
we don't have that much time.
Well, is there anything that's really, you know, important?
So if I had my wish list,
sure.
I would say we would need at least an additional person in our department, whether it be a program specialist or an additional administrator. And I think that what is nice about our department, I won't say our department, is we have the expertise of the school psychologist as our coordinator. We have 2 program specialists that were classroom teachers. Tammy Irvine was a reading specialist. We have a lot of expertise. I think it would be helpful to have additional staff that maybe had the background in speech and language. You know, we're really continuing on really looking at, making sure that students who are receiving services really meet eligibility, and it's the best, you know, because when you're receiving related services, you're missing general education or other areas of your learning environment, and to have somebody with that expertise to really help us look at the efficiency of that and to further reduce those numbers, because that's still a high percentage of students that are receiving speech and language services.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, because special education, you know, obviously, you know, it's important and there's a great need, but if you just take and look at the financial aspect, it's putting the resources that we're possibly able to put there will save us money in the long run, in addition to making it better for the students. So that was a real question, and thank you for answering. Sure. And again, thank you for the great job you're doing.
Well, thank you for your support.
Trustee Rossa?
Thank you. Again, I totally concur with Mark, and I'm very pleased to see the good work that's being done in special ed. I was curious on the specific learning disability and student population. You referred to about 563 students, which is about a third of all students. And how many different types of special learning disabilities are in that category, for example?
So when we're looking at it, to qualify for under a specific learning disability, there needs to be a processing disorder, whether it be auditory, visual, and we're looking at it needs to relate to reading, mathematics. We're really looking at that closely. Again, I've said this before, we're seeing an increase, and we've seen an increase in the different eligibility criteria, but this is not unique to Gilroy. So SLD, specific learning disabilities, increasing in other districts across California, other health imperatives as well, emotional disturbance and autism. But we are really looking at that closer. That is also why with the new dyslexia guidelines, we wanted to make sure that our staff are familiar with that. And I think it was really important that our lit facilitators participated, because our department is working with principals and ed services that as an intervention, the reading program, the Sunday reading program that we're offering in our special day classes, there will also be able to be utilized as an intervention with students who are struggling in reading. I don't know if that answers your question, but we're really looking at whether students are truly are meeting eligibility for speech and language, for a specific learning disability, or if our lack of interventions have created the gap, if that makes sense. So we're trying to provide early intervention to try to prevent students from falling further behind, that they might need some more specialized academic instruction.
Okay, and I was very pleased to see the district moving in the direction of professional development in the area of the dyslexia, and I would like to know more. I mean, obviously, this is not the setting, but have we begun to identify dyslexic kids?
Well, and yes and no. We always have, but we're still identifying them under like a reading disability under SLD. And what I thought was really important that was communicated at the training is students dyslexia doesn't necessarily, students who might be identified dyslexia do not necessarily need to have their needs addressed in a special education program. And I think that was huge for staff to hear and that the presenter had discussed.
Great. Go ahead.
Trustee McGard?
Yeah, thank you. You know, we used to have a program in our district. We had the Slingerland program.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of teachers were very highly trained in that, and we were never, ever taught that dyslexia comes under the umbrella of special education.
Mm-hmm.
It's a general education
Absolutely.
issue. I'm glad to hear that's being cleared up a little bit. It's not special.
It's not.
Special education. Mm-mm.
Other questions or comments? Trustee Pace.
I'd like to echo thank you for all the hard work that you and your team does. We really appreciate it, and please keep it up.
Trustee Russell.
I do have, in going into visiting the schools, I've heard that there is some pretty extreme situations that we're finding ourselves with students with extreme emotional, disturbed, and that it's a growing problem, not only in our district, but in other districts, and to the point where it's very disruptive to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this is a growing problem, I'm just kind of curious as to what strategies are we anticipating to deploy to address that?
Well, what we are starting to do this year is right now we have 2 BCBAs, board certified behavior specialists or analysis, so we only had 1 last year, so it's great that we have a second one. And we have a process where we have developed or worked with them that was presented to the principals and has been presented or will be presented with our teachers and our job alikes. More of a referral process where general education teachers, special education teachers that are behavior specialists will not only work with students that are already in our programs, but students out in the general education. So going in, looking at a classroom, they're working primarily is we are seeing a need. All districts are seeing a need. Behavior is not necessarily special education, nor do these students belong in special education, but they are disrupting our general education classrooms. So working with teachers, because sometimes it is as easy as changing an environment, and it's not always what teachers want to hear, but sometimes changing their behavior, we have to change our behavior to change their behavior. So what I'm actually meeting with Ed Services tomorrow, and we're looking at what training that we can provide and work with our general education teachers. It's going to take a little bit of time to roll out, but we do have behavior support assistants, and I would like to maybe look at a plan to use them a little bit more efficiently and to be able to incorporate that they are working with students that are more in crisis mode, For instance, if we have a behavior specialist that goes out and makes some recommendations, 2 behavior specialists cannot handle all the needs in the district, but if we had trained behavior assistants that were trained and were able to help and support staff to implement the recommendations and then step off. I see Heather maybe nodding her head because that's kind of where I came from. So to look more like that model, that our BSAs aren't necessarily in the classroom all the time and assigned to particular students. They go and help a team learn how to implement the strategies and then periodically check in, and they train the staff to be able to meet the students' needs, and then they move on. So have more of a team approach. Like our behavior specialists would have maybe 3 or 4 assistants that work under them, that they, do the heavy lifting, and then they go out and help support the team. I think working towards that model, we already have a little bit. I think that will help greatly. But we're all struggling, all directors. I know Dr. Flores has mentioned when she goes to superintendent meetings, that's the first thing that comes up. When I go to our SELPA meetings, that's the first thing that comes up. So
we talk about it all
everybody's
the
kind of like, what are we going to do? I mean, I had a meeting with our mental health therapists, and we were, talking about some of the needs, and she was saying, from my experience, I just think it's just the society, it's technology, it's social media, it's a different style of parenting. It's just all kinds of things that we're seeing.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Again, really pleased that you're here in the district and making a difference for students in our district. Thank you.
I have a nitty-gritty curiosity question. On your school year goals, participate in APS visits, who specifically do you see participating in those? I think that's a great idea,
Right.
by the way.
I think for starters, just myself, because I think also too for the sake of time, because we are.
Size of the team.
That's the size of the team.
We don't want to get too big. We're already, 6 to 8 of us. And on the big sites, that's great. But we were talking about this on Monday initially. Anna will join us. Cabinet hasn't even heard this. Sorry.
Well, I shared it with my colleagues, my Ed Services colleagues.
Well, I was just wondering if it would be you or even, I don't know if SPED teachers from the site are part of the team.
No, it's our Ed Services team and me, and now we're going to add Anna to the team.
Okay.
And it could be one of our program specialists, but right now I think it's best for Anna to join us. And it's a great idea because we do try to cover special ed, but there just aren't enough of us to, especially middle and high school, to cover everything.
So thank you for putting that on your plate. One more thing.
Yeah, I reminded her what she's asking for is 15 mornings out at school sites. It's a big
But if I
chunk
get
of
that
time.
extra staff, right, it'll be a breeze, right?
Yeah, Mark asked you.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Anna. Thank you. It was an excellent report. Appreciate your efforts. Okay, now we have 7D, monthly district cash flow update.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Flores and President Paceno. So I'm bringing to you an update on our monthly cash flow. And these are the actuals from July through the end of October. And you'll see that our beginning cash balance is a little over $14.7 million there. And the cash inflow, the money that was brought in for that particular month, is a little over $8 million. And then our total expenditures are a little over 10.6. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see that there's some prior year transactions still to be cleared, and that's normal right now. And then our ending cash balance with a trans is a little over 12.5 million. Without our trans, it would be a little over 7.5. And then our certificated payroll, classified payroll, and all the employee benefits down there add up to a little bit over 8.3 million, which is 78% of the total expenditures up there, of the 10.6 up there. And then the rest of the months, November through the end of June, are based on projections. And this is probably the last cash flow I'll bring to you that is still as related to the revised adopted. We're currently working on first interim, which will come to the board on December 13th, I believe. And the cash flow will be relating to those new numbers.
Questions, comments, board members? Oh, okay, sorry.
This is just another way of looking at those numbers, a different chart. Okay, any questions?
Now are there questions? There we go.
It occurred to me as I was going through the packet, go back a slide.
Go back a slide. Yes?
What would something going wrong look like? If I flip to this, what should I?
I wouldn't be up here. Oh, no. Something going wrong. It's not necessarily something going wrong.
I mean, this is
Right.
steady state things working well. So
Right.
what is something I should?
Not necessarily anything going wrong. For example, depending on, when we get our apportionments, our funding, right now we're still looking pretty good. As far as the state and everyone getting it to us before the end of the year, we don't have a lot of things that we're setting up, waiting for it to come in like the end of June. We have to wait till July, August, September. So, everything right now looks fairly, decent and healthy. Right. Next month, because actually this month, the end of this month, we're trying to finish up a lot of the retros. So you'll see a hike or a spike in the payroll. That usually doesn't happen. And then it'll start to, even out for the rest of the year. So as far as anything wrong, no. If we didn't have our trans, there are some close months that actually could look like we might be able, or we would have to, borrow from other funds and so forth.
I would assume something wrong would be if the receipts in December and April were less than the disbursements in December and April.
Right, and depending on, of
because
course,
those are the two big months for us, right?
right, taxes and so forth, and then also
Right.
too, your beginning balance in October is 14, and the cash that came in is 8, and expenditures are more than what the cash came in.
Right.
But because we have a higher, beginning balance, we're still okay. Again, if we didn't have a trans, there were some months when I have to, validate our cash flow for the year and try to, get accepted for a trans. And there were a few months that if monies didn't come in the way that they're supposed to come in, unexpected expenses, something happened, that, we would be over.
And in the years when they deferred apportionments,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
when this picture looked very different.
Right.
Yeah, and hopefully that's,
Because we weren't getting, and that's why we had bigger trans.
Right.
yes.
Luckily, right now, we have a small trans, so that's great.
Any other
Okay.
questions or comments? Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right.
We can't do it afterwards.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
the expulsion.
Okay. Very good. I'm glad somebody's on call. Okay. I'm going to, yeah. Yeah, it is, under 12A in the end. So, report of action taken in closed session, because we chose to do our closed session. We had that 45 minutes earlier. I am going to move 12A to in front of 8 and report out action in closed session. One of our actions we have to take out here, which is expulsion of case 2019-02, and I will entertain a motion.
I would like to move to expel, is that correct?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the board voted to non-reelect a certificated teacher. The vote was 6-0, and we had one absent, and that would be trustee B.C. Doyle. Okay, now we have 8 board member reports.
Last chance.
We have 8 board members. Oh, no.
Item 8. Item 8.
There's only 7 of us.
Trust me, you do not want this. These used to be in the beginning, and then We started at 8 o'clock, so. Okay, hearing nothing because we still.
Say something, Heather.
It's a group board member report. No. Oh, go ahead, please.
I'll mention something in behalf of all the board members who were at Rock the Mock, that it's a very worthwhile
It's fun, I love it.
activity. I know there's a lot of planning that goes into it before that specific event, but I think it's so good for the students to have the opportunity to try to express themselves and present themselves to somebody they've never seen before. That was very good.
And they did a great job.
Yeah.
I was so proud of them.
Yeah.
I was so proud of our students this year. Is that I think the sites did a really good job telling them how to come prepared this time. So most of them came with a resume. Many of them dressed like they were going to a real interview. It was really nice.
And they got help with their resumes in the
In
classroom?
their English classes. Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, it's
Trustee Rosso.
I'll chime in on that. I think it's also good for the community. Because the community feels
Absolutely.
a connection to the school.
Yes.
They get a chance to get in, see the staff, see the students.
And the buildings.
And well, absolutely, but I mean,
all around.
the engagement, that they're in the schools, they see what's going on, they get a feel for the different schools and what's going, what's happening and how the staff is supporting the students. And I think the chamber does a fantastic job. Mark has been fantastic. The chamber support has been really instrumental. And it's a great partnership, community partnership.
I agree. I want to give a shout out to Cafe 152. Every year gives us lunch, brings luncheon for everybody at both schools. And that's really, really nice of them to do that.
Good cookie.
They make a good cookie, make a good sandwich.
It's great. The job fair afterwards, I think, is just fantastic.
That was great.
It's just fantastic. It really is good.
That's a great event. Anything else? Okay, upcoming and new referral agenda items.
Next time. You guys need my
Okay, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Thursday, December 13th, right here, 7810 Royal Circle. Closed session will be held at 5:30, followed by the regular meeting at 7 o'clock, which will feature the swearing in of 3 new board members and re-swearing of me. I get to re-swear at 7 o'clock. Swearing at. No, I won't swear. Yes. The agenda will be available on the district's website by 5 p.m. on Friday, December 7th. And now we will adjourn to closed session again.
Well done.
Thank you. I don't have a
Maribel, I have a quick question for you, if you have